blasting, billowing, bursting forth with the power of 10 billion butterfly sneezes.
I'm Tom Bain, and this is Wine, Money, and Song. If you're interested in wines and wanting to find out the best values, please subscribe. Last week, we talked about the 2022 futures campaign of being a bust. We talked about it. And I gave many reasons why I thought it was a bust. And I cited everything from inflation. They raised the prices on the 2022s to many different things, wine consumption falling and about per capita consumption. But I want to talk about the ratings of the wine. And they didn't sell, and they really got huge ratings, the 2022s. I counted over 30 100-point ratings from Suckling, the Wine Advocate, Galoni, and usually what the 100 points would mean formally was the wine would sell out within 24 to 48 hours and the prices would skyrocket. And that hasn't happened with these wines. And could this be a case of wine writers crying wolf?
I know. She's like the boy who cried wolf.
Wolf! Wolf! Did you hear that? Somebody needs help!
Let's go!
Ah! Oh my God! Charles! Oh my God! I'll run and get help.
No, we've got to carry him! We can't leave him here! There's a wolf!
There's not really a wolf.
What? Tell my kids I love them.
Charlie! Charlie! This was so funny in my head when I planned it.
One too many times. And they have cheapened the 100-point scores by just giving them out too freely. They've been giving out more perfect scores of 100 points than there are peanuts in a bag. And they become less meaningful and they have less effect. I would like all my viewers to go back and look at one of our earlier episodes about wine ratings and how to use them, and we'll flash it up for you on the board there. Take a look at that, and it's a very extensive look on how I look at wine ratings and how I feel people should really read the words that the wine writers write and not depend upon just the numbers. So the wine writers gave out a ton of high scores, 95 and above. Now, the wines are good, and we really don't know how they're going to age out because it is a very different type of vintage and was vinified very, very differently than a lot of other past vintages. So we really don't know. We don't have much experience handling these wines and seeing how they're going to come out. But why do wine writers give out 100-point wines? Oh, because they're great wines and they're perfect wines. There are some alternative motives why they give out 100-point wines. Now, Robert Parker took a long time before he gave his first 100 points out. And he gave them very, very grudgingly in the beginning. And then he started to give out more and more. And I think what he found out was he got more attention when he gave 100-point scores. And wine writers want publicity, and they want to be on everyone's lips. Parker gave it 100 points. Parker gave it 100 points, and the phones are ringing off the hooks in all the stores across America, and all the wine public wants these wines because it's 100 points. And that's how that began. And everyone else adopted Parker's scoring, and they started giving out 100 points. Now, they give out 100 points besides their perceived quality of the wines because, first of all, they get notoriety that every write-up about the wine, they list all the scores, all the high scores. And if you're the highest score, 100 points, you're there first. And everyone who reads a review of the wine sees your score up there, and that helps you become more popular and hopefully sell more subscriptions. So there's no such thing as bad publicity, and giving out 100 points helps them in another way, that it ingratiates them to the wine producer. The next time he walks in, this writer gave me 100 points, and he's my friend, and he helped me make more money on my wine and sell up my wine more quickly. Now, do they do that consciously? Well, I think some of them do. And I don't blame them. It's a business. And I'm sure they don't do it with wines they don't like, but they can embellish their scores a little bit, and they can curry favor. What is that encounter now? Will they get a free dinner from the estate owner? Will they get some privileges at the place? I don't know that, but still, it's good publicity. And the one thing I want the wine drinking public to understand, that it is the wine business, and money makes the world of wine go round. And try to remember the boy who cries wolf. And part of the problem, these wines are still available in the marketplace after these 100-point ratings. And the prices really haven't moved except for maybe one or two wines because of the ratings. And usually the prices moved on the wines that have very, very small supply. But you can buy all these wines still. And please go back to that earlier episode, Wine Ratings and How to Use Them. I want to tell you a story about, I was in Costco the other day, and there were 3 or 4 people looking at a wine, and they all had phones in their hands. And they were all holding it up, and a gentleman said, "This wine's 93 points. This wine's 93 points." All of a sudden, you had 4 people. It was like a feeding frenzy. They're trying to grab the wines and pushing each other out of the way because they saw on their phone it was 93 points. They didn't read anything about the critique of it, how it tasted. Was it full-bodied, light? Was it 5 more years to age that you can't drink it? No. They saw the number and they bought it by the number, and they were pushing each other out of the way. And it kind of reminds me of Black Friday sales, where everyone pushes and throws people down so they can buy a certain item. People, act like adults. Please read the reviews, read the words, read the text. They're very rich, and that'll help you determine whether the style of that wine is for you. And don't just look at the numbers. So please remember that the wine writers are motivated to give high scores in certain situations. If they're at 98, why not give them 100? It's looked at that way. Let me give you a little disclaimer on the next part, and I'm going to talk about the importance of wine in the culture, and I'm a Christian, and wine is a very important part of Christianity and Judaism too. And the Last Supper was a celebration of the Seder, and also Jesus' first miracle was at a wedding in Cana. And what happened was, and you'll see a clip of the movie, the wedding was attended by many people, and they ran out of wine early in the wedding celebration. And Mary, Jesus' mother, went over and told Jesus, and this is Jesus' first miracle. And Jesus told the servant to fill up the earthenware cleansing water jugs, filling them up with water, and bring them to me. And Jesus handed it back to the servants and said, "Now pour it to the people." And it poured out wine. And one of the gentlemen said that usually the best wine is poured first. This is the first time I've been at a wedding that the best wine was poured last. And
gather the water vessels and fill them.
Fill them.
With water.
This is the first wedding feast I have ever attended, where the best of the wine has been saved for last.
If you think Giulio Gallo or Michel Rolland ever did anything like that, I don't think so. I don't think so. And turning water into wine is quite a feat. And as I said, that's Jesus' first miracle. And then we go on to the Last Supper, which was the Thursday, which was Good Thursday, the day before Good Friday when Jesus was crucified. And he had his apostles all gathered together, and they were having a Seder. And Jesus broke bread and said, "This is my body with the bread, and you remember me by that." And he also poured wine, as we get the cork out, to symbolize. And he passed the wine on, and he says, "This is my blood." And symbolically, the blood was to wash away the sins of the world. And Jesus was going to give up his life the next day. His blood is symbolized in the wine.
Drink from this cup, all of you. For this is my blood of the new covenant, which is shed for many for the forgiveness of sins.
Now, do you think that Jesus cared if it was 100-point wine? I don't think so. And this is a very mediocre Sicilian wine. And it doesn't matter. And wine has a lot to do with the people you're with and the occasion. And Jesus wouldn't care if it was 100 points, 88 points. And people, you shouldn't care about points. If it tastes good and you enjoy it, that is the most important thing. And remember that. And remember, that wine served at the Last Supper, it has to be the greatest wine ever poured at any occasion. Come on. Just think about it. Think about symbolically what it started and has been passed down hundreds of years now. And I wish I was there to taste that wine. And it had to be the greatest wine ever poured at the table. And it didn't get 100 points. So remember, it's the occasion and it's the people you share it with.